Welcome, everybody, to tonight's call. It's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you so much for joining us for the Jewish Trauma Relief Project launch today. Yeah, it's a special day for us. And maybe just a few words about the background against which this launch is happening. So, with the Pocket Project, we started already during COVID to bring trauma relief work to places where it's very needed. And at that time, we offered many online spaces, online groups where people could come together who were suffering from the isolation, from grief, pain, conflicts erupting in families, organizations, societies. And we just offered a space where people could self-regulate, co-regulate, relate more deeply to themselves and each other in a space of safety. And then when the invasion began in Ukraine, we spread our work. And now for the past 2.75 years, we've really grown a network of more than 40 therapists who are involved. We've offered over 3,400 free one-on-one sessions, many group sessions, and have reached many thousands of people with this support. And it's really just becoming a tapestry of support that is spreading. And also our skill sets are growing as we're learning how to listen, how to work across cultural fields, how to learn together, how to create safe spaces for people to find grounding in the midst of some of the most difficult situations. And right now, as we are all more than aware, we're facing a situation of war, of very painful conflict in the Middle East. And the Pocket Project is responding by setting up both a Palestinian trauma relief project and a Jewish trauma relief project. And in each case, we work both with Palestinians and Jewish people in the region, but also with maybe we call it the diaspora community globally. So all those people that are affected by what is taking place, that carry the seeds, the scars in their generational ancestry, in their bodies, in their DNA, in their collective spheres. And our aim is really to bring as much support and safety to each community. So in each project, we work with therapists, facilitators from that cultural sphere. We offer supervision. We offer training in trauma-informed approaches. We offer grounding. And we also see what is most needed for each of the groups. We had a Palestinian trauma relief project call for the launch of that in October. And we are deeply happy that today we can launch the Jewish trauma relief project. And it's also somehow special that we launch in this time where the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah is just a fragile possibility of bringing back more holding in a very fragile situation. Something that the UN Secretary Antonio Guterres, the General Secretary of the UN, has called a ray of hope. Yeah, we're not entirely sure. I think many of us are also wondering, will this hold? Will it be able to expand this? Will it be possible to expand a ceasefire to Gaza as well? But acknowledging also that there is a ray of hope that we speak from and into today. Yeah, so with that, I would like to introduce our two facilitators today. And I want to apologize also to you, Idit Rose, because we had only Hilorie on the materials that went out. Idit joined a bit later, but I'll just introduce both of you. So Hilorie Baer is a leadership coach, transformational facilitator, and psychotherapist with 25 years of experience in guiding individuals and groups through personal and professional growth. She combines deep insight practices with a background in human psychology. She helps her clients gain clarity, overcome obstacles, and connect with their inner wisdom. And Hilorie has been working very closely with the Pocket Project since its founding and has really accompanied and been a close friend to the Pocket Project for all these years. So thank you so much, Hilorie, for being with us today and working with us as an advisor to the Jewish Trauma Relief Project. It's lovely to have you here. Yeah, and Idit Rose is a healer, facilitator, and founder of the One Body approach. She supports individuals, groups, and organizations in cultivating safety, resilience, belonging, and authentic leadership. Through her gentle, poetic style, she helps others reconnect with their body's wisdom and the rhythms of the earth. Raised on a kibbutz in Israel, Idit's journey of grounding in the land has deeply shaped her life's work. So welcome to you, Idit, and thank you so much for joining us. And Idit has also just completed the Timeless Wisdom training with Thomas Hübel. So also both of you are deeply steeped in the work with Thomas Hübel. So thank you to you both for holding the call for us tonight, and I will hand it over to you.
Hi, welcome everybody. I'm really touched to see so many people, and I'm excited and nervous to be holding this call, both because, just being in front of so many people has that effect on me, but also because the topic is so alive and resonant and activating. So just to share a little bit about what's happening inside of me, and also just to let you know that I'm sitting in Jerusalem, which is where I live. I'm American and moved to Israel about 30 something years ago and have lived in Jerusalem. And Idit, where are you sitting? Oh, I don't know if you can
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm situated in a kibbutz, Regavim, which is about an hour from Tel Aviv and about half an hour from Haifa. So yes, in between.
Great. So I thought we'd start by just doing something to kind of bring us together as a group, which is, always something you want to do when we're on Zoom. And so I just wanted to invite everybody, first of all, just to take a moment to just connect with yourself in this moment and just feel yourself. And we're not going to do a long meditation now. We're going to do that a bit later on, but just to get yourself centered and located both in your environment and within yourself. And I just wanted to invite everybody so we can share a bit, just to put in the chat, number one, where you are, like in the world. So where you are in your environment. So, and then a word or two words at most, just where you are inside yourself. Just what pops up, whatever will let us feel a little bit, this group that we're in and the people in it. So, and we can all, kind of just look at the chat and feel who we are, where we are around the world, and what people are feeling. Wow, all over the world, connected.
Curious, sad, excited, lost, hope.
Unsure, concerned, angry.
Quite depressed, anxious, feeling gratitude, curious, tired.
So as we're reading what people are writing, the places that they're from, just to feel the span of this group from all over the globe, literally, and the span from the inner space, the very, very different places that people are sitting in. Okay, to try to start to just bring our awareness to that. Great. Ambivalent.
It's a question, not Jewish. Am I welcome? You're very welcome.
Nervous, little hope. Okay, great. So that's in the chat, and people can relate to that and look at that if they want to connect to this group that we're sitting in. So just to start, and I want to orient us to this call. First of all, I want to acknowledge the moment in time we're sitting in and the level of intensity that we're sitting in all parts of the world, from a multitude of different reasons and situations. I think we're having these calls now because I would say it's almost like an emergency situation, and the level of activation that's occurring is enormous, from the situation of the war in Israel, in the Middle East, in Palestine, in other parts of the world, what's happening in terms of anti-Semitism, what's happening, a million different things that are occurring. But I think what we all can feel is the level of intensity is very, very, very high. And it's impacting everybody. So that, I think, I would suspect that is one thing probably everyone on this call shares. And that we can kind of feel together, even if what individually is impacting us and how we feel about it is very, very different. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Just before you go on, we've also had people writing in just with a sense of unclarity whether, the space is open to non-Jewish people. Yes, it is. The invitation didn't just go out to Jewish people, but also maybe having a sense of unsafety around that as a Jewish person. So maybe you can just say a few more words to that before we continue.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is welcome on this call, right? And everybody who comes to this call is contributing to this group. The focus of the call, as the title says, is Jewish trauma relief. So that is what we're going to be focusing on in a way. And every single person sitting here is going to have a different reaction to that, and a very unique and individual reaction to that, whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, or wherever you are in the world, or whatever your past is. So yeah, we're a kaleidoscope, and we're all here to learn and to develop, and to be together in this endeavor. So very much welcome, and this will be what we're looking at, and very happy to have anybody who is looking at this and feels somehow it's relevant for them on the call.
Yeah,
So
perfect. And maybe just one thought to add to that, and we said the same also in the Palestine Trauma Relief Project, that we also come here with the intention of providing a safe space to our Jewish friends, our Jewish community, for this exploration. So everyone who is here, I trust that we can meet in that shared intention of providing safe space.
yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to give a little orientation to the call, and I think to this work in general, and what we're going to be doing here. So number one, when you hear like trauma relief in any way, I mean, that could be such a myriad of things. And, in this context, the orientation that we're bringing is coming from the basic orientation and goal of the Pocket Project and of Thomas Hubel's work. And I'm going to say what that is. I'm going to say a little bit more about that, because that's kind of the umbrella that we are looking at this whole topic in. And so it's particular, there's a particular focus, there's a particular orientation, there's a particular development of what we're doing here that would be different if you were looking at trauma in a different setting. So to me, that's very important, because I think this work, Thomas's work, the Pocket Project work, is here to bring something very specific. And I think the specific thing that it's here to bring is very important. I mean, I've been working very, very closely with Thomas for probably 14 years, because I deeply believe in the work that he's doing. I deeply believe in the healing that it's bringing. And I want us to be able to work with that in this context. And just to say a little bit about that, we have this project, the Pocket Project, right? And I don't know how, maybe many of you, maybe, not many of you know what is meant, why it's called the Pocket. What does that mean? It's a kind of funny term, right? What's the pocket? And just to say a little bit about that, to orient what we're doing, the idea of the pocket, coming from Thomas when he and Judith and other people when this project got started, was the idea that if one can develop a capacity, a growing capacity of greater awareness, greater consciousness, greater ability to look at and see and hold what is existing in any situation. So that can be what is happening within an individual. That can be what's happening within a relationship. That can be what's happening in a community, in a culture, in a society, in the world. The ability to develop this greater and greater capacity to be able to have the awareness of what is, which is not being completely enveloped by what is happening. Okay. So, we are, as human beings, very reactive people. We react to stimuli. Okay. That's our nature. And those reactions that we have become very wired in us. So in moments of intensity, difficulty, agitation, right, we are often drawn into very strong reactive states. And those reactions are also very much impacted by what we've experienced in our life, traumas that we've experienced. I think everybody knows that, when you've gone through something very difficult, when you're stimulated in that way, when there is a trigger, your nervous system, becomes very strong. And in those moments, there is usually not a lot of spaciousness. There's usually not a lot of ability to be able to hold an awareness, a consciousness about what's happening. You are gripped, okay? And that could be very strong, that could be less strong. But in that way, we become part of the reactive nature of life. And when we can begin to, develop the ability to observe this happening, the ability to bring an awareness to this, an ability to bring more consciousness to what is happening, we by nature bring more spaciousness, more holding, more capacity for care, more capacity for empathy about what is occurring. And that is the pocket. That is the idea of the pocket. And what Thomas said that was so beautiful is he said, anywhere in any situation that you can bring a pocket of higher awareness, of higher consciousness, of higher spaciousness, you allow that to, you're bringing that as a contribution. You allow that spaciousness to have an impact into any situation, any place. And that's the resource. That's the resource that the pocket brings. And I think everybody, can think of a situation where they've observed that, where they've experienced that, whether it occurred within them, if you were in a very, very difficult situation, a painful situation, a frightened situation, and suddenly you got a glimpse, an insight, an understanding, something that felt like, I'm not inside of this. I can hold this, I can see it, and the relief that brought. You get a glimpse of this pocket. Or if you've been in a situation where somebody has been able to bring that openness, that awareness, that clarity. I mean, I actually think one of the reasons there is this attraction, and this is what I've seen over many, many, many years, to Thomas's teaching, to listening to Thomas, is because he holds that quality. And people feel it. And people feel this is somebody who is holding a higher space. And it's a huge resource. It's actually, what I believe the world needs. So I'm saying that because what I feel is very important about the orientation of this call is that it's not just about what we're looking at, meaning, what's happening for us as Jews or whoever is here who's not Jewish and somehow wants to look at this issue, whether in Israel or any other part of the world. We're not just here to look at what is happening. We're here to look at how we look at, how we relate to, how we are bringing ourselves to this. Because that is how we develop ourselves as pockets, individually and as a group, to a topic that's so important to us. That we are in, that we are deeply caring about. I assume everybody who's here cares about this. We might have very, very, very different opinions, ideas, what we think, all of that, but we care. We wouldn't be here if we didn't care. So, what we're going to do here today is begin to look at that practice of how we relate to this topic. And in that, to begin to bring, as we're saying, more awareness, more space, more consciousness to what is in each of us individually and what is in this group. It might be a little bit, it might just be a glimpse of it, but that's my hope, for what we're going to do here. So, what we'll do now, it's a short call and there are a lot of people. I would love to be able to, open it up and take questions, but we won't be able to do that right now. But what we'll do is a little bit of practice to begin to feel what it means to do this with me and Idit. And then we're hopefully going to leave time in the end for sharing, because we really do want to hear your voices and questions if anybody has. Okay, so we're going to do a practice now of what many of you who have listened to Thomas will know this, but it's sort of the core foundational practice, which is the 3-sync. Okay, and the 3-sync is where we're just bringing, and I'll guide it, our awareness to what is happening in each of us, in ourselves in this moment, in our body, in our emotions, in our minds, and just to start that practice of what it means to observe, just to observe, just to see. What is. It's so basic, it's so foundational, but it's so powerful. And so we'll start with that, and then we'll go further in the practice of looking at this particular topic and getting a sense of what is here. Okay, so now we're going to meditate a little. So get in a comfortable position. And you want to feel your feet touching the ground and your spine straight. And I invite you to close your eyes if you want, or lower your eyes. Just start by taking a few deep breaths and really let yourself feel the air coming into your chest and the exhale. And just do that a few times. Really feel your breath, your inhale and your exhale. And just notice whatever sensations are occurring in your physical body. So just notice if you feel any tightness in any part of your body. You can notice if your body is tense or if it's relaxed. You can notice if there are parts of your body where you feel a lot of movement, sometimes shakiness, kind of electricity. You can notice if you feel heaviness in places. And really let yourself become aware, conscious of what's happening in your physical body. And we're not trying to change anything. We're not trying at all. We're just observing. And now you can bring your awareness to your emotions. So you're moving from your physical sensations to what are the emotions, the feelings that you're sitting with now. I know you jotted some of them. And just let yourself become aware. I am feeling nervous. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. Just let yourself become aware of what is happening in your emotional landscape. And you can also notice if your emotions are very intense, if they're subtle, if they're changing, or if they seem to be held with one particular feeling. And you can notice what's happening in your thoughts. So we're moving from our emotions now into our thinking. Our mind has a very different quality. What's happening in our mind? Are there a lot of thoughts running through our head? Is it busy, active, or more empty, quiet, spacious? And if a thought comes into your mind, you can just observe it. Oh, oh, that's a thought. And just let it move. And now I just want us for a moment to bring an awareness into the question, what was my drive to come onto this call? Just very gently, just open your awareness, your consciousness. What was the motivation? What made me feel I wanted to come onto this call? And just let yourself sit with whatever is. Don't think about it, but just see what arises, what emerges when I bring that question into my being in the moment. What led me here? And see if something comes in that just emerges from within you. Okay, and now we're just going to go back to our breath for a moment. Just let ourselves feel our breathing, feel ourselves sitting in the chair or wherever you're sitting, and feel your feet touching the ground. Can move your toes and fingers. And whenever you're ready, just open your eyes. Okay, great. And if you want to share just a word or two maybe that came up for you about what drew you here, what motivated you, just if anything emerged, feel free to write it in the chat and people can, you know, feel the group and feel each other. Connection, community, understanding, curiosity, hope, possibility, seeking comfort, feeling sadness, making trauma visible. My ancestors, regulating nervous system. Beautiful. Connection. Yeah, really touching. Witnessing trauma. Beautiful. Feeling the group. And you can notice what happens when you read this and you start to feel what brings people together. Okay, great. So now we're going to take a little bit more time for practice because we want to relate to why we all came and what we're all here for, and to look at, you know, interesting 3 words of this call and hopefully a project that will come through it, right? So it's um, Jewish trauma healing, Jewish trauma relief, right? Those were the 3 words that everybody read that got them here. And let's see what is here related to those 3 words, right? Because each of them are very, very powerful. And we don't have a lot of time, but we can begin to bring the practice we just did into these very specific words. Okay, these very specific, they're actually energies in a way, if we look at it. So I don't remember if Kosha said it might be good to get a pencil or paper because we might have you jot down. So if you happen to have that close by. Okay, so we're going to take the opportunity to begin to feel a little bit what is in each of us related to the topic at hand. And I'm going to invite my colleague Idit to start. And we'll take each word on its own and begin to feel into it. What is here? So I hand it over to you, Idit.
Yeah, so if we take a moment to grab a pen and paper, if you can, and if you have one. And once again, perhaps just invite to connect with yourself, to come back to perhaps the sitting, the body, your posture. Inviting slowing down. And as I drop the word Jewish, just notice what happened in the body. How does the word Jewish, Jewishness, I'm Jewish, just Just how does it land in the body, in the landscape of the body? Is there any sensations, temperature, emotions? Perhaps nothing comes, and that nothing we can sense. Noticing how the word, your connection to Jewish, also in the cognitive body, how does that arises in the body? Just paying attention, just noticing. Perhaps how your breath changes or does not. What is the embodied experience right now when we just invite the word Jewish? Into the landscape of the body, the emotions, and our thinking mind. And perhaps you want to write a few words that came up. Noticing that in our practice, whatever we meet is part of the practice. And then once more, come back to your feet. Connection of your feet in the ground. Conscious breath in and out. A wiggle in your chair. Well, Hilorie will take us to the next word in our title.
Yeah, and maybe before we move on, just if you want to jot down for a minute anything that came to you, that a word, a phrase, a feeling, anything you might want to just put it down on a piece of paper, because we're gonna move over to a different. Okay. Thanks. Thank you, Idit. That's beautiful. Okay, so if you can, I know this is a bit quick, and hopefully we will have other times that we can really go into this in greater depth. So now just we're gonna kind of like, go like this to the word Jewish, kind of move it to the side. Take a deep breath, and if you want to close your eyes, we're going to look at the word trauma. Now, that's a big word. So my suggestion is the experience of any trauma is an overwhelm to the system. And just to be able to touch it, maybe if you can think of not such a heavy situation, not something huge, but any experience you have that you feel you can just open up that felt overwhelming, even for a short time. Something that you felt really in that moment overwhelmed your system. If it was a fight that you had with somebody, or an irritation, or even I'm thinking of being in a terrible traffic jam today that was very frustrating, so, where I could feel that my nervous system got overwhelmed. And I want to bring the attention to what happened. What happened in the body in that moment of overwhelm? What was I feeling physically? What parts of my body got very activated? What was my feeling state, my emotional state in that moment? If I can recognize the feelings that got activated and how I experience them. And what happened to my mind in that moment? Where did my thoughts go? What was my state of being? Just see what happens in us in a moment of overwhelm. Like observing yourself, seeing yourself from the inside. And just see what arises. How open you are, how aware you are of what's happening. Okay, take a few breaths. And can come back, and again, if you want to write a few words that came out, just so you can remember. Yeah, and if anybody wants to share what occurs. Okay. Idit, you want to do relief?
Yeah, so yes, and it's interesting to notice that when we notice what's happening, we're practicing this awareness. So as you keep writing in the chat on your paper, keep the practice. And the playing between the words, how some words may have more direct impact and some could be a little bit more subtle in the way that we sense into them. So if we take a pause on the word trauma and do like Hilorie did, we slide it and let it rest just for now. And coming back to our breath and coming back to our feet, coming back to our practice. Making connection once again with yourself right now. And then turning towards the word relief, third word in our title. What is that? What is that word for you? How does that arise again in the body, in the emotions? What association might come up when you hear the name, the word relief? If association comes up, then notice what perhaps is the emotions that come with that and the sensation. Does the word contract your body, expand your body? And again, noticing the subtleties and slowing down to feel the subtleties. Different way that the words land in the body, land in the emotion, land in the mind. And then again, See what words come up. If it's any emotions that came up, if it's any sensations, experience that you want to write down, either for yourself or in the chat. Yeah, beautiful. And also notice perhaps, just like our group, the space in between us. No. Just tuning your body into sensing the here and now in our group. Hilorie, are we gonna invite some voices?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, we wanted to just open the space for anything you want to share. Just to say again, what we did was just a taste of the practice that, we want to bring into a very alive, important, I think, meaningful topic that we're all here, that called us all to be here. And how we can both deeply feel what is and be together in that process. So this was just a taste of doing that practice. And I know you all came in with a lot, and things emerged. So anybody who wants to share anything, ask any questions, would love to hear. Yeah, Joan.
I am always happy to start off the share. I have a question of what form will this process take in terms of gathering, but I will share that when we felt into Jewish, I was very surprised that a lot of tears came. I've been crying all year, but this felt like a different kind of crying. And I believe we were invited to check out our mind as part of that dropping in. And I just felt kind of a shattering of whatever does it mean right now. So thank you for today.
Yeah, for the first part of your question, I'm going to let Kosha share that at the end, and there might be more information coming afterwards. This is an initial gathering, but yeah. Yeah. VB, I don't know.
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
I really appreciated the opportunity to reflect on all the words, but particularly the first one of Jewish. And I feel like this beginning of this echo, like I'm like sitting into this word, and it's almost like it comes echoing back to me, and it feels like I can feel into like there's a lot there that can begin to be awakened. It's almost like the invitation of sitting with this word. And I'm just so happy and kind of stunned that this word that I use, so often um, is such a mystery to me when I really am invited to look, and it's very exciting to me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. It's very touching. Yeah, I'm also curious, and if people want to share, I'm going to call it Mita, I want to hear you. Just if anybody else was surprised by what came up. Amita, hi.
I love the choice of the word relief, as I wrote in the chat, because when I hear the word healing, I feel like it's not attainable. So I shut down. But when I hear the word relief, I was amazed at, I felt my solar plexus warming up, which I rarely do. I felt like things I never feel. And it was like, wow, relief is possible. So it's like, I love the choice of that word. And I just have to say, being here, besides all the people I know from the Hubble Thomas field, there's other people from other parts of my life that are here, including the two people that just spoke. And it's like amazing, the World Wide Web that's meeting here.
Yeah, thanks, Amita. Good to see you. Yeah, Amelia.
When I heard the word Jewish, that's like a word that it's always there it's been in my life forever. And when I felt it in my body, first in my body, it was like kind of light and kind of something that's just me. I mean, that I cannot see myself being something else. Like I'm Jewish as I am a woman, that I have no choice, but I felt it. And then, even though I was in my body, some thoughts came to me, like what I don't like about the Jewish concept, and some people get it. And as as much as this situation has been very hard for everybody, one of the parts for me that's very hard is to see some Jewish people feeling with so much entitlement and thinking that being Jewish is like something that's make us better than anybody else. I don't see myself as better. I see that I'm Jewish, but I'm not better. And that's really something that I've been struggling with for my life. Not now, it's not new, but it became stronger since October 7th. That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you. And I think one thing that was important in your sharing, I'm just going to point out things when I notice them, and Idit, is the layers, right? Like the different layers. Like one layer is something like a very deep sense of something just essential. You can't, that had a quality. And then sort of, what's been happening in your thoughts or feelings, more recently, or, so just like the idea that there are so many layers, that this is very complex, I think is a piece of what comes through in your sharing. Thank you. Nayana. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, thank you. I made it up so you can pronounce it any way you want. Yeah, I feel very conflicted. The choice, it's good to talk about this, but I feel very scared because my identity as a Jewish woman, I don't know what it means anymore. So it is complex, and I appreciate that, but it shakes all my identity. And I don't know if it's because I felt entitled that, oh yeah, I know who and what I am. And it was handed to me on a golden platter, and I never had to work and do anything about it. And now I'm in my 70s and I feel shattered. So thank you for doing it.
Yeah. Thank you. Sylvia. And then Sharon. Yeah.
Good evening. I'm calling from Holland, and I don't know if you're all aware that we had a very violent incident in Amsterdam on the night of Kristallnacht. And when you asked what drew me to the call, I really would like to be of service. And I went to the Jewish community in Amsterdam, and I found such dysregulation that was 10 times more triggering for me than the event itself. And yeah, the amount of sadness that brought up. So, like, I was going there and I felt all the nervous systems, like, people were saying that they don't feel safe anymore, that they want to pack their bags. Some were very angry. I just didn't expect such intensity. Yeah, it was like people were back in 1939. And yeah, I asked myself, how come I was not prepared for that? And so what I noticed that I have a lot of contact with non-Jewish people, and how regulating that has been for me. Yeah, what can I say? It's really, they're further away from this fire, and it makes all the difference. And I noticed that as much as I want to be of service, that I couldn't be of service. It was just too overwhelming. It was like a wave of sadness, agitation, fear was coming at me. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that. And yeah, if you have any response of what I could do if I want to contribute, how I can be regulating myself better, or whether to maybe be one-on-one, or yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you for listening. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think there were two things that you were touching on that relates to this experience of overwhelm, right? One was that you somehow you needed space. Okay. how much when we're in that intensity to regulate, we need space. And otherwise we just keep getting more and and I think that one of the reasons it's very important, like why we broke down these words, is the capacity to relate to the experience of the trauma of overwhelm, is not, people don't necessarily focus on that. Oh, I have to deal with my overwhelm, because if I'm in an overwhelm, I'm not going to be able to bring, whatever I have or my tools. So I think this is one of the key pieces that we're looking at. And it's obviously a huge topic. We're just touching it today, but yeah. But thank you for sharing that experience. Sharon.
Hello, community. A deep bow of gratitude to both of you for creating this space and this opportunity. I haven't seen very many groups like this to focus on Jewish trauma, so I feel it's really needed. There were lots of different experiences and feelings that came up. I think one sentiment that's come up for me through this entire ordeal of the last year on some level is losing my illusions about the world and coming to understand that, okay, these are the dynamics of how many people relate to Jews and Israel. And it's futile for me to harbor anger, frustration. I mean, those feelings come and the fear comes and the sadness, but it's also a helpful reorientation for me of understanding that, okay, I need to be careful in how I navigate interactions and who I choose to be friends with. And, I have a Buddhist practice. I belong to a Sangha. So I really value the opportunity to be in community, to cultivate space so that I'm not reactive. And part of that process for me is just accepting and surrendering that this is the way the world is, that there is deep-seated Jew hatred among many people, a reflexive desire to blame Israel and Jews for what's happening in the region. I live near Toronto, and anti-Semitism has escalated here. We've had synagogues firebombed. We've had Jewish businesses attacked. We've had physical attacks on people. Safety is a real concern here. So it's a losing my illusions. And as Sylvia, you said, how do I be of service? And that's been my experience as well. How do the way I'm being of service is trying to support Jewish and Israel focused organizations or causes focus on Jewish rights, inclusion, and safety.
Sharon, sorry.
Yes.
I'm interrupting just because we're going to need to close. And I mean, I can feel there's a lot, there's a lot that you want to,
Yes, I'll wrap up just saying that that's how I'm choosing to be of service.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to kind of highlight something that I felt came through your sharing that I think is very important and would be a whole topic to look at, which is the word safety. And what happens when we start to feel unsafe. And I think, there's a lot, and this is happening everywhere, and this is absolutely happening in the Jewish community and all over. But I think, what you were expressing, I heard this, this is something that came from a very deep sense that I don't feel safe. Well, thank you all. I know this was like a drop in a bucket of such a enormous, enormous topic. But I'm going to hand it back to Kosha, and very much want to continue this work in this way with this particular group, looking at this issue and touching on the deep complexity and intensity that it is. And just Idit, would you like to say a word before we hand it back?
Yeah, thank you, Hilorie, and thank you for everyone that shared time, given that's what we can do. It was lovely to be here and really feel and sense into this different tapestry of Jewishness and the puzzle that we all are and different aspects that we all bring. And I'm very much hoping that we will continue and looking forward to the next time to see you again. Thank you, Kosha.
Yeah, huge thanks to you both, Idit, Hilorie, and thank you to everybody who brought your voices and your experiences into the chat and into the space. This is us. This is this community growing. So thank you very much. Yeah, and just a few announcements. There's not much space to go into the detail of what we see might happen as the project unfolds. But I think the main point I would like to bring today is that our needs assessment is currently open. And I would love you all to give a visit to the Jewish Trauma Relief Project page on our website and help us clarify how the project needs to develop to answer to your needs, because that is what we're here for in the end. What we have found so far is that in our Jewish community, that there is quite a rich experience of access to therapy. And that what seems to be most needed is to come together in community and to share in safe, intimate spaces, share more deeply. So what we're planning to offer is several strands of group conversation for all those of us who identify as Jewish. So if you identify as Jewish, there might also be group strands that decide that they're open to non-Jewish participants. And that will be clearly indicated in the descriptions of the different groups that will be offered. So that is where we will start, and we will soon be able to share more. And please continue to fill out the needs assessment, invite your Jewish friends and networks to fill it out and help us shape. Also, if you are able to support the Jewish Trauma Relief Project financially, we'd be so grateful. As I shared before, we are offering different trauma relief projects at this time. Some communities are more resourced, some are less resourced, but we're really dedicated to continuing to offer this free of charge. And if you wish to support, you're really warmly invited. If you go to our donation page, you can choose whether you would like to offer the Pocket Project work in general or the Jewish Trauma Relief Project specifically. So sharing, learning, and inspiring, giving thanks. So with that, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Hilorie. Thank you, Idit. And also, I saw that a few of our hosts are here on the call, hosts of future Jewish trauma relief calls. I saw Robin Alfred, Igal Hermelin, Teddy Frank. I think there might have been others. And we will let you know more soon. With that, May this call settle well in your system. May you unfold this staying present to yourself as you meet life as life meets you. Be safe and be well as you move forward. Thank you for being here.